Welcome to today's episode, and we have a very exciting guest on today, Stephen Ruiz, founder of 239Loans. Now, if you're just tuning into this podcast for the first time, we are Stravix, a company that helps financial firms scale revenue and operate more efficiently. So if you want to learn how to take your business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And if you're interested in our free growth consultation, just drop us the word growth in our DMs or comments below, and we will get back to you. So, Stephen, thank you once again for joining today. We're super excited to have you.
Thanks, Megan, for asking me to join.
Yeah, of course. So, if you just want to start us off on your background, a little personal professional journey, take us back.
All right, cool. So I am, I guess, your ultimate hustler, right? So I was, ever since a young kid, I was always selling whatever I could get my hands on: baseball cards, watches, all types of collectibles. And I've always had a love for sales. My parents were business owners, and that allowed me to spend a lot of my time after school, summers, holidays, working with them at their company and just understanding different parts of business. So I always grew up just kind of loving business and wanted to do something with business owners. Thought I would be a business owner one day, just didn't know of what. I wasn't big on school, although I was always told by teachers I was very smart. I was very lazy, which just meant that I like to find different ways to do things. And so as I got older, I just started to dive into different parts of the financial world, which is what most business owners are looking for: capital. And just found different avenues to go in, from credit all the way to personal loans, all the way to where I am today doing business financing.
So, how did you specifically kind of break into? I know you said you've kind of always had this spark, but what made you specifically interested in the lending community?
Yeah, absolutely. So it started back in 2010. I had gone to work for a gentleman who had owned a credit repair company, and credit repair has all this crazy stigma about it. But what was cool about his company was that he did offer a product that was full circle. So it did help people to remove things that were incorrect. It helped people to address what was on their credit report after everything was verified, and then it helped them to reestablish credit. And a lot of times when you got to see a person go through that, full cycle, it gave you hope to know that people really were trying to improve their lives. And most of them were business owners or previous business owners. And that kind of led me into, okay, well, I think I want to help business owners. I understand this culture. Went to go work for a gentleman who had owned a title lending company and understood the lending world. And once I got into the lending world, we took that portfolio, sold it, and the money that he had gotten from that sale, we used to open up a business funding company in Miami. That company exploded, and then at that point, I realized, I wasn't an owner there, but I realized that at that point that it's what I wanted to continue doing, and had to branch off on my own.
Yeah, so you did.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, that's amazing story. I love hearing about the background. So, kind of let's hop forward a little bit. I know that each day of work probably looks a little bit different, but can you describe like a typical or average day? What do you kind of do?
Yeah, most definite. First thing, before I even get into the office, I'm already looking at emails. So what's come in over for the night before? And more than likely, it's going to be a whole series of responses to questions you were asking the day before, additional documentation. So the morning time is just kind of set organizing and sending those follow-ups through to different lenders, capital providers, to keep the ball moving. Once that morning shift is kind of done, I'm on my way to the office, probably get there around 10 a.m. By the time I get to the office, and at that time, we're just going to start straight reaching out to new prospects and just kind of touching base with them to see who knows us and who doesn't. I don't do the hardcore sales. I just like to reach out in the community, just kind of people who are within the circle, and make an introduction, what we do, and if they can find some kind of synergy or something they could use from us, then they know who to call. Once that part of the day is done, probably lunchtime, and then come back, do more follow-ups on the files that have come in. And of course, just always try to keep the ball moving forward on every front. There's no such thing as hardcore closing. I know in sales, there's always ABC, ABC, always be closing. But the fact is that once you've done this long enough, you realize it's really more about just moving the ball forward. And at some point, it's all going to come to fruition.
Totally. Yeah, agree. Totally. And I want to ask, kind of, you could plug your company in a little bit, but what are some common reasons you say that people come to you guys and versus someone else or a bank, broker chain, etc.?
Yeah, so fair enough. So I would say that because I grew up in a family business and understood, that the end is never really the end, right? Or things don't just stop. Work is always there. One thing I've learned in life is that, it's never over till it's over. So people will come to me most of the time because a banker has read a LinkedIn post. They found out that a story of me helping somebody get through a decline or a roadblock that they had sitting in front of them. And really that's what I do is I work with a whole network of great people who are in the lending industry. I know what they like, I know what they don't like, I know how to get there. And then my goal is to look at where this customer is. Where are you right now in the chain? Are you able to get qualified right now? Or are there some steps you have to do first? So people will come to me because I don't give them the straight, hey, listen, you're declined, you got to come back later. I tell them, look, this is what we need to do, A, B, C, D. And then really at that point, it's up to you. You're the one who's got to walk through and get those things done in order for us to come back and say, hey, look, we can get you funded. But I do leave people with a pathway on how they can come back to get funded. So I
Yeah.
think that's the reason why people love working with us.
Yeah, no, definitely straightforward. You work very closely, it seems, with your clients. So definitely appreciating that.
Yeah, and no frill. I don't give you any fluff. I don't tell you any, make believe story. If
Yeah.
it's not possible, it's not possible. Here's what we've got. And we kind of lay a plan from there. It doesn't always work, as much as you want to help everybody, you can't. I say more times than I really want to. The only one who saves is Jesus. It's not me. All you can do is tell you what we need to do. And it's your job to kind of get you there.
Are you seeing, Stephen, any trends in the market at the moment or any clients, do we see any past clients coming back? Is there anything specific that you're noticing or have noticed recently?
I will say that what I've noticed the most is that the finance game has expanded on every front, and financing seems easier than ever to get. You can go online and type business loan or type working capital, and you are going to get thousands of options. The problem with that is that with thousands of options comes thousands of problems. And you can be trying to work with somebody who is highly reputable and sounds just like the guy who is not. And what does that really mean, right? And what that means is that there's capital out there that can sink your business. So everything that you've worked for, there's capital out there that doesn't have any good intention for you. And really, there's last option caption, and really that it isn't always great to take just what's available. So what I would say is that the trend in the market is there's a lot of players that aren't 100% on the up and up, and you got to know who you want to work with right now. And even though that finance in general has always had a negative push to it because bankers and lenders, people don't like to necessarily, put them in a positive light. The fact is there's many people out there like myself that are trying to help businesses, access capital the right way. And that's what I say would be the biggest trend right now is just making sure you work with the right person.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing answer. I definitely want to look forward now with your company, with your business, even the industry. But what would you say your goal or kind of outlook, maybe even quarter end, but what is your goal for the next few months, maybe even a year or two? What does the business kind of look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So over the last 6 months, I would say even more for like the last 2 years, I've had this dream of putting together a fully automated process. And so over the last 6 months, I've really dove into different AI products, different automation products in order to make the process as quick as possible for the applicant. Because at the end of the day, again, they're going online, business owners are going online and they're applying and they want to get an answer now.
Yeah.
And before you get the application, you can pretty much guarantee that 10 other people have gotten it. And that could have been brokers who have shot it out to another 10 lenders. It could have been lenders or funders, and they're the ones who are declining. So the file could go around 10 different places. And ultimately, what my goal is that they can go on 239loans.com. They can submit an application. It can quickly identify their profile. It can send them to the lenders within our matrix who fit those profiles. They can get a response quickly, maybe not immediate because some of those lenders aren't there yet or funders aren't there yet, but they can get an answer as quickly as possible and know that someone's working on it. The goal is just to make it a simple process for business owners to access trustworthy capital.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. So you mentioned that the goal is kinda automation and implementation.
Right,
I
right.
do like to ask this, like, if you hypothetically could have, like, a magic wand that could fix that one thing in your business that's slowing you down to get to that automation process, what do you think that would be?
So I have a great curiosity, but I also am not the fastest learner. And so my learning curve is definitely what has hindered me more than anything is the fact of learning how these products work, how to implement them, where to implement them, how to use it in the right way, and ultimately not to come off corny because, if it doesn't seem authentic, even though you may think it's authentic, if it doesn't hit, then that's the biggest problem. So I've tried different things. I've tried video AI where you have an agent that's just kind of doing like a commercial. I've tried testimonial AI where you've got different ones giving testimonials. I use a phone agent who dials out to schedule calls. To see if people are interested. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it's not there yet.
Mhm.
But I'm a big believer that if we learn it now, down the road when it gets better, then we'll continue to take advantage of that. But my biggest roadblock is definitely not being a tech guy and being able to implement this stuff quickly.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing to hear, Stephen. So, definitely to wrap this up, is there any last words of advice or wisdom you have, or just any young entrepreneur that is looking to maybe even break into the field that you're in? Just any send offs you'd tell them?
Absolutely. Go hard. Right. And when I say that, I really mean at every point where you find a roadblock, where you find someone up against you, where you find competition, where you don't have enough money, where you don't have enough anything, all you have is drive. So don't stop. Right. Some days are bad. Some days are good. Some days are great. There are times where you can go 2 or 3 months pushing, pushing, pushing and not see anything. And then right before you know it, several huge deals land. And so you always want to keep moving forward. You want to be 100% transparent with people because they may not need you today, but business owners are always business owners and they will come back. And if you burn them, they will always talk about you and not in the right way. So keep pushing forward, be 100% transparent.
Yeah, that's great advice, Stephen. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming on today again. It
I
was,
appreciate it.
of course.